Yes, so let's talk about Roman numerals. Roman numerals tell you true things, but these are not the things you need to know when you're improvising. Okay? So, if you are riding a bicycle up Mount Royal, and I tell you there are 2 cups in a pint, you say, well, yes, that's true, but this is not helpful to me right now. Now I need to know which path I take, or where I left my energy bar, or something like that. That's useful information. Roman numerals tell you true things, but they're not the things you need to know in improvising. And I would say no advanced improviser has ever emerged who primarily based their playing upon Roman numerals. It does not work as a language of improvisation. Okay? It is a language of vertical analysis. Okay? And the reason it's so slow is because the idea of the root. Okay? And the idea of inversion. And so if I have a 5, 6, 4, 3 of 6, right? Yeah. I have to untangle that in my head to even figure out what that is. Somewhere in there, there's the root of 5, but it's not in the bass, so it's in there somewhere. So I have to uninvert to find it. By the time I do that, the music is 2 kilometers down the road. Okay? So the Italian system did not use Roman numerals. Bach did not use Roman numerals. Even for most of the 19th century, the French school did not use them very much. And that's because they're just too slow. And it isn't actually how this music works in real time. It doesn't tell you things you need to know. Okay? So this is very, very difficult because we are trained on on Roman numerals. And to let them go is very, very hard. So when I'm playing rule of the octave, I am not thinking Roman 1, Roman 6/4/3, Roman 1/6, 2/6/5, 5, 4/6, 5, whatever that is, 6/5/3. Okay, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking scale degree in the bass. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What does 1 do? What does 2 do? What does 3 do? What are my options for 4? It's very, very fast. And I would honestly say you will not develop improvisational ability using Roman numerals. It doesn't work. I've tried. And especially, the last time I tried, I was playing, I love this part. The Rachmaninoff B-flat prelude. And I was just analyzing this. And realizing that following those Roman numerals and trying to transpose this to some other key, I was absolutely lost. There was too much information of the wrong kind. And I said, okay, that pathway is a dead end. It's not going to help. I have to think about this some other way. So that was my personal experience. So what we're looking at instead is what is the bass, scale degree in the bass, and this is very important, how is it moving? And so we look at bass motion. And the key to improvisation is bass motion. Because in the Italian school, the way they taught, first they taught rule of the octave, and then they said, now you're going to learn all these special motions of the bass. And when the bass moves like this is the harmony. And when the bass moves like that, this is the harmony. And when you're good at it, you don't even need figures. You can play and harmonize an unfigured bass with a full contrapuntal setting. It just goes blank. You're talking about the first part?
Yeah, the fantasy.
Yeah, the fantasy, because it's not in a strict constant meter, one can make very, very last-minute decisions because you have the advantage of space. And this is a nice big hall with a beautiful piano, and so it feels, in a small classroom, it's actually much harder to do this. Some of you will play Or no, it's... That's what it is. Okay, so I was thinking of the chromatic fantasy. You can hear it's confused in my head. So if I play something like this... Like in this big hall, a gesture like that hangs in the air, and it's very beautiful. If you play that on an upright piano for your friends in the practice room, it's very difficult. So you actually have to adjust to the room a little bit. The best acoustics I ever played in was in Denmark, and it was a hall. It's even larger. This is a very beautiful, large hall. It was even larger. It was the Royal Danish Conservatory in Aarhus. And got in there in the morning, this Hamburg D, just killer Hamburg D, and you play one chord and the whole hall goes, ah! And I thought, okay, we got to do a fantasy with big pauses to take advantage of this. So the pauses are also time to think, okay? I am using, the first line of thought is bass motion. Because you have to go somewhere. You can't just play G minor unless you're Philip Glass, right? I'm about to do something profound. You ready? I'll be back in half an hour to change the chord. Okay, so unless you're playing that style, you can't do this. So the first thing I have to do is think in terms of bass motion, especially the type of bass motion that are used often as openers, as introductions musically. Now, there are several, but it's a surprisingly small number of what works to open a piece of music in this style. And it is like polite introductions to a stranger. So if I meet one of you on the street and I say, can I have $20? It's not appropriate. It's very rude. But if I say, oh, excuse me, are you a student here? You are. Oh, I'm visiting today. Oh, it's so nice. You study piano. Oh, your teacher is Professor Briere. He's amazing. Why don't we get some coffee? Oh, I forgot my wallet. It's just for this one thing. Can I borrow $20? See, now it's okay. Maybe. Maybe it's okay. Because we introduced each other. And harmonically, you have to introduce before you run off and borrow $20. And the number of introductory formulae are not huge. So probably the most common one I call TDO, tonic dominant oscillation. And that's the, like the chromatic fantasy in fugue. 1, 5, 5, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 1, 1, 5, 5, 1. We know each other, good, now let's go out for coffee. Okay? Another one is... Oh, it's now we know each other, now, right? Now let's go for a walk. Okay? Now let's really get to know each other. Right? Diminished chords, not something you do among strangers. So that formula I call the page 1 because it's page 1 of Well-Tempered Clavier. And it's everywhere. Do you know Christ on the Mount of Olives from Beethoven? The Hallelujah? Same thing exactly. And here the bass motion it's a combination. It's a tied bass. So on the second chord, it has to take that 4-2. And then, of course, because the 4-2, the bass is a dissonance, it must resolve, and you're done. Okay? So that one's very, very common. Another one is known as quiescenza, and that's where I throw in a flat 7 and visit the subdominant, and then a dominant or an altered dominant. And that is thousands of them, thousands and thousands. Okay? So you have to have an opener of some kind to sound legitimate. Then once your opener is done, where are you going to go? So I could work my way up the octave using rule of the octave, but if it's a passionate kind of minor thing, I'm not just going to go. I'm going to do things like, I'm going to suspend, and then I could just be a law-abiding citizen and go here, but what if I want to go to the Neapolitan? It's just an alternative. I could wear my blue sweater or my green sweater. Okay? Chromatic. Avoid the cadence. Go somewhere cool. And now maybe repeat my opener in a new key. Then this monkey business. This sounds so good on this piano because it's very even. The action is very even, so I thought this would be perfect. Again, I'm just using bass motions and traveling through pathways in the harmonic system that I know, but now because the figuration is so different, it sounds like an absolutely different section. Okay, so the surface material can change where the listener perceives you are in the form. This is now a B section. What's so different? Well, I moved to C minor. It's not that different. I think I did a page 1. And then maybe I did a... And let's get back to C minor. But no. And evade the cadence. So those are kind of the things I'm thinking. There's the deep level of the bass motion that controls where you are harmonically, modulation, key area, harmonic progression. And then there's the surface level of figuration, decoration that creates the style and even can create the form. Okay? Does that answer your question? Okay, so that's what's going on in the fantasy. I just love those big, audacious, aggressive type of pieces. I think they're so cool.